Many children suffer in silence and end up being depressed or even taking their own lives as a result of cyberbullying. What exactly pushes one person to torment another? Senior researcher from the Council of Scientific Industrial Research, Sipho Ngobeni, is joining us now to discuss the negative impact of cyberbullying on young people and the role that parents and the community as a whole can play in protecting the young from the scourge. Sipho, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. So you've done research that suggests that we perhaps underestimate the damage that can be caused by cyberbullying in particular.
Good evening, Thembikile and your viewers. Yes, as the CSR, one of the units there, it's called Information and Cybersecurity Center. So we have recently, and I think it's been ongoing, we've recently conducted research on cyberbullying, and there's a lot of interesting results that we actually have observed today, yes.
And why do you think it is that perhaps most of us do not take cyberbullying as seriously as, say, another pupil hitting the other?
So there's several ways in which actually cyberbullying actually happens, but one of the findings, it shows that especially parents, even the kids, because the research shows that cyberbullying is more prevalent within the adolescent stage. So we're talking about the age between 12 and 19 or so to mention. But research shows that parents, they still don't take these issues very seriously. That's why we see them, at the end of the day, being propagated in all these digital communication platforms. So I think there's still that lack of education among the parents as well as the schools and the children themselves.
How do parents play more of an active role in fighting and especially spotting cyberbullying as soon as it begins, because that is your main recommendation at this point?
Can you come again?
How do parents play more of an active role in spotting cyberbullying and helping both the bully and the victim to overcome that?
Yes, for sure, definitely. So what we recommend is that there's a role that the parents should play. There's a role that the schools can play and the community at large. For instance, if I will start with the parents, in an event whereby it happens that a child is being cyberbullied. So our first recommendation is that the parents should create an environment where the kids will feel safe, to discuss these issues of cyberbullying. And they must take the child through a process whereby they sort of create a mutual consent on how they want to arrive into a solution of resolving the issue. I think the third one that we strongly recommend that the parents should do is that they must report these issues to the police, so that the police can take it further and conduct the investigation, as well as reporting or contacting the parent of the aggressor, to make sure that the parent of the aggressor is aware what their children have done in this instance, even contacting as well as the internet service providers or the content providers who host this content to actually make sure that this illicit material is actually being taken down so that no further havoc actually continues, in that sense. But I think most importantly, from the school's perspective, I think a big role there from our findings, it shows that first of all, the school must have what we call bullying or cybersecurity bullying policies, so it can even put together things like your harassment, and form one policy. But these policies must not be developed, just to tick a KPI, developing the policies and just put them on the shelf, What we recommend is that the schools must make sure that these policies, after being developed, they get socialized to everyone who sort of form part of that particular school. They must teach them, whether it's the SGB, whether it's the children, the parents as well must be brought and make sure they get educated about these cyberbullying policies. Most importantly is that if there is a change in terms of legislation from the government in terms of cyberbullying. The school must also make sure they update these policies to ensure they're in compliance with what the government says. You know, if in an event whereby it sort of gets worse, the school has a prerogative to ensure that that child, you know, who instigated or who is the aggressor can be suspended, you know, from that particular school, or even be taken away from that school and be put in another school. So those are sort of recommendations that we sort of came up with when we conducted our research for both the parents as well as the schools.
Sipho Ngobeni, Senior Researcher with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Good to speak to you tonight, sir. Thank you.